Hello everyone, and welcome to the Pokedex Project, a series where I'm hoping to document every single Pokemon in the Dex. Starting with the very first Pokedex entry in everyone's favorite seed Pokemon, Bulbasaur, or Fushigadane in Japanese. These green Cantonian Pokemon weigh on average 15.2 pounds or 6.9 kilograms. That's about the weight of a singular traditional face brick. Bulbasaur also measure up to about 0.7 meters or 2 feet 4 inches from bulb to feet. This poison grass amphibian's focal point is, of course, its namesake itself, the bulb on its back. Bulbasaur uses this bulb to accomplish a variety of tasks, with the most important being storing energy via photosynthesis. While older Bulbasaur can eat berries and such to acquire nutrients, in fact, they actually require those consumables once they're fully grown. Baby Bulbasaur, on the other hand, solely rely on the sun until they grow big enough to eat physical food. The bulb, while a seed in and of itself, is actually a container for a multitude of the many nutrient-rich smaller seeds inside, which themselves are the vessel for converting the sun's rays into energy or for using some of its signature attacks, such as Leech Seed, Poison or Sleep Powder, and even Solar Beam. That bulb, which gives it the ability to grow in the first place, will continue to provide young Bulbasaur with the necessary nutrients to grow as they age. Bulbasaur and its subsequent evolutions can be found in grasslands and forests throughout the Kanto region, though the chance of actually discovering a wild one are slim to none due to Bulbasaur's status as a starter Pokemon for young trainers beginning their journeys. Yes, in fact, most Bulbasaur begin their lives under a breeder's care, as Bulbasaur are naturally regarded as both well-behaved and, of course, extremely loyal, so they're the perfect pick for beginner trainers. In fact, even after long-term abandonment, Bulbasaur usually won't think twice before returning to their old partner. Not only are they loyal and well-behaved, but they're also one of the most endearing Pokemon you'll come across in Kanto. Many have been seen demonstrating their nurturing instincts towards younger and weaker Pokemon, often using their vines to rock baby Pokemon back and forth while singing in a soft tone, as a mother would her child, appropriately dubbed the Bulbabai. If you do happen to spot a wild one though, it would likely be in the middle of a nap, since sunbathing happens to be its favorite pastime, and if you're especially lucky, you'll get to witness Bulbasaur or its next stages in their most zen state, with their vines extended around them if they forgot to retract them before going to sleep, though only especially lax ones employ this method, of course. Or there's the second, even rarer opportunity. Of course, the existence of these locations are only rumored, but there has been a report of a secret Bulbasaur evolutionary festival, hosted by a Venusaur said to be held nearby Fuchsia City in the thickets, and even more are believed to exist all throughout Kanto. Their vines are thick and powerful extensions of their own body, sprouting from the bulb itself, which, when they're not used for self-defense with Vine Whip or other moves like it, are used as we would our hands as an extra couple appendages, for example to climb trees, more specifically wrapping around a taller bough and reeling themselves upwards, usually to reach a desired berry. But every Bulbasaur will eventually be met with a choice, to evolve or not. Once their bulb begins to flash blue, their evolution is soon to follow. Next up, Pokedex Entry 2, Ivysaur or Fushigiso in Japanese. Ivysaur weighs an exact 13 kilogram average, or 28.7 pounds, about the weight of a standard mountain bike, and height-wise it's 1 meter exactly, or 3 feet 3 inches. In its evolution, its ears, previously often mistaken for horns, have become more defined. Its color, more of a turquoise rather than the old green, its upper fangs grew larger and sharper, to the point they stick out of Ivysaur's mouth, and most importantly, the bulb on its back has bloomed into a giant pink bud, supported by a small brown trunk, which is often not drawn in official art, surrounded by leafy green fronds. As Ivysaur ages, the bulb on its back grows larger and larger, and in turn becomes more powerful. With this increased size and strength, though, they must spend increasing amounts of time in the sun in order to foster their continuing growth. Eventually, its size reaches the point of preventing the Pokemon from sprinting or even standing on its own hind legs from the weight, forcing its legs to also grow sturdier to support the ever-growing plant. When the bud is ready to bloom, sunbathing is usually the only activity Ivysaur will desire to partake in, as the seed Pokemon reaches the tail end of their bud's nurturing days. At this point in time, they emanate a sweet-smelling, quite distinct aroma which commences the swelling process, at the end of which it is finally time for that flower to bloom and for us to introduce Pokedex entry number 3, Venusaur, aka Fushigibana. They weigh about a whopping 100 kilograms or 220.5 pounds. That's about the weight of this scooter, and measure up to 2 meters or 6 foot 7 inches. While its skin's pigment retained the same primary color, the previous darker spots all seem to disappear. Throughout that blue-green, a visible roughness emerged. Many bumps and lumps can now be spotted across Venusaur's skin, and the inside of its ears appear to have lost the black and gained a hue. pink. Their previously often missed trunk is now fully visible, thicker, and far longer than before, to support the focal point of this fella, that being the large pink flower where those previous spots on its skin seem to have migrated. In the center of the flower's petals resembles a yellow crown, and that's where we have our very first gender-specific difference, because the females aptly have inside of that crown a gynecium, that being the female part of a flower which produces ovules, and ultimately develop into fruit and seeds, sprouting upwards. Like the previous iterations of this Pokemon, the bulb, the bud, and now the flower are used to convert solar power to fuel the rest of its body, which also causes the flower to become more and more vibrant with every bit of sunlight it receives. To ensure this flower is always as vibrant as can be and that its energy levels retain tip-top condition, Venusaur will stay on the move to get the most amount of sun possible, though this also means Venusaur are far weaker in colder months. The flower releases a sweet, emotion-calming scent that attracts Pokemon to it, which works just as well on humans as it does Pokemon, the potency of which is enhanced during its sleep and sunbathing. After a rainy day, this scent's potency becomes even stronger. Perhaps this is the reason wild Venusaur are never seen alone and often surrounded by younger Pokemon. Storms and the like terrify the small and the weak, so to seek out that scent and discover its alluring waft emanating from this master of nature, well, I'd imagine it's a no-brainer to stay close to that Pokemon and hope it will accept being their guardian, or at the very least tolerate the more timid types. On top of all that, Venusaur has been seen manipulating nature itself, with the power of reviving dead trees, inspiring new life, and even accelerating their growth to tower over their canopy's previous peak. This ability is believed to often be showcased during the evolution ceremonies, or festivals, as mentioned previously, in which they lead. Now, this Pokemon can change forms 2 other times, prerequisites depending. Pair your Mega Ring with a Venusaurite, and you'll be able to see this Pokemon's temporary 4th form in its Mega Evolution, which, you guessed it, progresses the flower's growth even further. This new form granted an extra 0.4 meters or 15 inches and another 55.5 kilograms or 122.3 pounds. Add it all together, and that's a massive 155.5 kilograms or 342.8 pounds. That's roughly the weight of this motorcycle here. Or if you don't want another motorcycle comparison, a drum of oil usually weighs about that amount. The disarrayed light pink spots atop its petals change into that of a single repeated in shape pale spot on each petal. Vines now hang from the flower, and a new set of darker leaves replace the frond's old ones, which they themselves have moved upwards. Its forehead gained 3 patterned darker spots. I like to think of these as a fully realized version of Ivysaur's spots. And finally, a single, plain pink petaled flower above those spots, and another on its booty. Mega Venusaur has the capability of summoning brambles from its flower, which it can use to heal itself during intense battles, as well as when it truly feels threatened, summoning a poisonous circle around itself to damage foes. Then there's Gigantamax Venusaur, who grows to 24 meters or 78 feet 9 inches and up, which you'll likely have seen on TV before, as many trainers of the highest level employ this powerhouse all across Galar. This version of Venusaur has its flower bloom even further, with the downward trajectory from its extraordinarily thick petals fully realized, as well as the newly lime green sclerae of its eyes to peek through, sacrificing sight for protection, as well as introducing some new light green patterns on its stomach. Gigantamax Venusaur holds the power within its massive vines to easily topple a 10-story building using its signature move, G-Max Vine Lash. This giant is also capable of spreading enough pollen to resemble that of a volcanic eruption. If you're allergic to pollen, you do not want to be close to this Pokemon, since even people without any allergies can easily begin uncontrollably sneezing or even fainting simply from breathing in G-Max Venusaur's pollen. On the flip side, the pollen also promotes plant growth in areas where it happens to land. Interestingly, in both Mega and Gigantamax forms, the female's gynecium appears to completely vanish. Time for part 2, origins and fun facts. Bulbasaur's name is derived from a combination of the words bulb, a rounded underground storage organ present in some plants, and dinosaur, or perhaps the suffix used in the names of extinct reptilian creatures in the ancient Greek word for lizard, saurus. The Japanese counterpart Fushigidane could be a combination of fushigi, strange or mysterious, and tane, seed, as well as a pun of the phrase Fushigi-dane, or isn't it strange? Bulbasaur and its next stage's physical origin are based on frogs, particularly horned frogs, which we can surmise from its short legs, stout body, and horn-resembling ear protrusions on its head. And the bulb itself could be inspired by onions or lily bulbs. Ivysaur's name probably comes from the word ivy, woody climbing or trailing plant genus, and dinosaur or saurus. The ivy part of the name could also be their way of incorporating this line's typing into the name, as in the poison ivy plant. Fushigi-so follows the same beginning in fushigi, or strange or mysterious, and so, or grass in English. The Japanese pun this time is fushigiso, or it seems strange, in English. The leaves or fronds of Ivysaur resemble palms from palm trees, and its bud resembles the Rafflesia arnoldii bud. Venusaur's etymology is perhaps derived from Venus, referring to the Venus flytrap plants, or venom, and of course Dinosaurosaurus. Fushigibana, on the other hand, comes from fushigi, once more, and hana, or a flower. And finally, the flower on Venusaur's back highly resembles the Rafflesia arnoldii in its fully bloomed state. And now, some fun facts for the Bulbasaur line. This line's category, the seed Pokemon, is actually shared with one other Pokemon, that being Sunkern. Ivysaur is the only second stage form of a dual-type grass poison Pokemon that does not require an evolution stone to reach its final form. Ivysaur is never seen losing a battle on screen in any animated media. Venusaur shares its height, weight, and egg groups, monster and grass, with another grass-type Pokemon, Tropius. And finally, a pretty obvious one, but a fun fact regardless, Venusaur is the only Pokemon to be a mascot for a Japan-exclusive core game. And that just about does it for this episode, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this one, I'm doing the entire Pokedex, so stay tuned, subscribe, hit the like button, ring the bell, do all that bullcrap, and with that being said, I've been Kev, or KazuTrash. Smell you later.